Okay, really quickly, let me tell you why I haven't been uploading videos. I have been watching every single playoff game, and I've been thinking to myself, okay, well, there'll still be something to cover. There's still something to think about. But with there having being like non-eliminations, and I'm not gonna say this is a bad playoff. This is the best postseason I've ever seen in my fucking life. I just want to clarify that right now, and I know it's already 20 minutes in the video, and I'm getting cooked. But I have never in my life seen a postseason as interesting as this one. I just want that to be said right off the bat. I've never seen a postseason with this many different outcomes. There was one sweep in the entire postseason. There was one sweep. This is the literal most interesting postseason we've seen in ever. And I want to say this very eloquently. I think that the first round is unequivocally one of the hardest periods in the playoffs. And I say the hardest for a multitude of reasons. It is the hardest to keep track of. Let's not lie. It has been tough. It has been exhausting to watch literally every single game. And that's with me changing my sleep schedule to watch every single game, by the way. I don't want to complain about that anymore, though. I want to go into the video because this is the first time in a fucking minute where I've actually pressed that record button and said, I have something to talk about. I have something that I want to say. Let's talk really quickly. So obviously, the sweep that I'm talking about, that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think this is one of the only series where I wasn't actually if I was predicting a sweep, I was thinking that this was the only one that could actually happen in. I thought a lot of these games and series would be very competitive, and I thought if there was going to be another sweep, that it probably would be coming from Boston. It might come. I didn't think that the Detroit Pistons had what it took to sweep the Orlando Magic, but I still thought they would be up in this series. I thought the inverse would happen. Let's talk about a team that I've disrespected, a team that I have not given the proper flowers to. I said that this team was the biggest disappointment in the entire regular season. I said the Orlando Magic were the biggest disappointment in the entire regular season. Let's talk about the team and why they're up 3-1 currently on a 60-win team in the Detroit Pistons. And no, it's not because the Detroit Pistons are some piss-ass team and some bad team that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. Let's talk about something really quickly. Cade Cunningham is not just, and Cade is not the only reason too. It's not just Jalen Jordan. It is matchups. The postseason is about matchups. And Detroit could not have found themselves in a more uncomfortable matchup. They could not have found themselves in a worse matchup. I'm going to tell you about a team that I thought wouldn't even make the postseason because they found themselves in the play-in. I'm going to talk about a team whose offense I just didn't think had enough firepower to even make it here. And why that team is matching up into the Detroit Pistons like it's nobody's business. I know everyone has been saying to themselves, well, this team, and by the way, yes, I'm still standing on business when I said Paolo is has the worst jump shot of any player that I've ever seen. Of any player, just when you follow the statistics. And I don't think that his shot is ugly. I think that it has a little bit of a hitch, just a wee bit. It's not even really noticeable unless you're actually really watching his basketball shot. You're really watching his jump shot. That's not a problem. It hasn't been a problem in this series. And the reason that hasn't been a problem in this series is because Paolo has heard the criticism. He's heard what everyone has to say, and he's heard and he's seen it. He takes a little bit of jump shots. I think still a little is even too many for this guy. I'm going to be honest. Yeah, they might go in. They're probably not going to go in. I think that him settling and stuff is the only reason that this series has been as close as it's been as far as, not the games, but as far as the score, right? I just want to say that. And as far as Franz Wagner, Franz has been great. I think that Franz has been still clearly the best player. And I think everyone's looking around and they're probably thinking to themselves, why are the Pistons losing? In the previous game, where Cade had a lot of turnovers, it was Cade. But the reason he had turnovers is because A, the Detroit Pistons spacing has been fucking awful. And B, more importantly, when the spacing remotely looks good, they attack Duncan Robinson relentlessly. Franz has been attacking Duncan Robinson. Suggs has attacked Robinson. Paulo, everyone is hacking Duncan Robinson. So Duncan Robinson, when his shot is just not dropping, has been unplayable. And it's a very similar problem that happens with the Cleveland Cavaliers with Sam Merrill. If Sam Merrill's shot is not dropping, Sam is even a worse defender. At least Duncan has been in the right position sometimes. And I know the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing a better job of actually hiding him. But I just want to say something really quickly with that team. I just wanted to bring that up. Another thing, I honestly do at this point think that the Pistons need to double down on just running double bigs. They need to double down on running double bigs. And honestly, I know we're gonna say something, and I think history has a chance to repeat itself again. The Orlando Magic have choked a 3-1 lead before. It's a franchise. That team was to the Detroit Pistons. The team they choked that 3-1 lead to was the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, this is completely different teams, completely different series. It's been more than a decade. It's been almost 2 decades since it's happened. It might have been actually 2 decades at this point. I think, respectfully, that if the Detroit Pistons do not win this series, that I thought going into the postseason that Jamal Mosley would be fired. I think his job is thoroughly secured at this point because no one saw a team that was this heavily going through injuries, scrutiny, and struggle, and just the players and just everyone looking over and being like, yeah, it's enough. I thought Detroit had the better version of what these guys had. I thought, well, since Cade has an actual jump shot and, the spacing is kind of fucked, yeah, I think Jordan is enough. I think that this will be enough. But the postseason is about matchups. And literally, those turnovers you saw from Cade, they were because the length and size that Franz and Paulo can offer on him. They can slow him down. That can fatigue him. And yes, you're worried about Cade playing that many minutes throughout the series. But there's another thing that I just think hasn't been talked about. Isaiah Stewart has been phenomenal in this series. Dorian has been ass. I think everyone knows Dorian has been bad. But the reason Dorian has really struggled and been bad, in my opinion, is the amount of length that he's seeing from the Orlando Magic. The same length that's bothering Cade and making him turn the ball over and making him hesitant. And again, Cade is young. He has time. Jalen Duren is also young. But Jalen Duren, you're doing this in a fucking contract year. You need to show up better. I can't justify giving you a max contract with this production, dog. I can't. And that's what they're going to say. And they're probably going to need to get some other guys in there to help this. The spacing has been bad. Them losing out on Tim Hardaway Jr. was awful. The way they lost him, by the way, was due to a gambling scandal that this man had nothing to do with, apparently. They voided this man's... I think the league at large voided this man's contract, and he wasn't allowed to sign back with his team. By the way, once he was cleared and he was innocent, what gives? Why couldn't he re-sign with this team? I just don't know. The great moments that I've seen from Detroit have been when they've gotten into transition and turned the ball, and they made they made the Orlando Magic actually turn the ball over. And I'm sorry I did that in your ears. So anyone wearing headphones, I apologize. But it's been so hard, man. It's been so tough. I realistically think that if these two teams have matched up into anyone else, the results would just be different. But the playoffs is matchups. So let me just talk about another elimination game that happened recently. The Spurs have eliminated the Portland Trailblazers. I watched that game thoroughly through. It was a blowout. I really don't think there was much to talk about. This was one of the first games in a while where the Spurs did not have to come back from quite a big deficit. Just to say this, the Portland Trailblazers never had enough shot making to compete with the San Antonio Spurs in a realistic series. I thought they were going to get gentlemen swept. They were gentlemen swept. I do not really think that. I think that it's absurd and insane that Thiago Splitter is in the position that he's currently in. Obviously, I think it's crazy that a guy who made it to the playoffs, who's actually he not only did he make it to the playoffs, out of the play-in, they beat the higher seed in the what's the name, to secure the 7th seed, the Phoenix Suns, to secure the 7th seed. Not only did they do that, they won a game. And I know people are going to say to themselves, well, they also choked a couple of leads. Thiago Splitter was never supposed to be the team's coach in the first place. And I just think it's completely unfair that they're still looking for a new coach and to shake something up. I don't know why. I'm confused about that. I have actually no idea why they're doing that. I think it's really weird and disrespectful to Thiago Splitter and the season that he put together, considering that he had to deal with being thrusted upon and thrown into the head coaching role. I think he did a great job with everything considered. I don't know. And I think his players like him too. Like, I don't think there's like a locker room issue either. Like, I think his X's and O's are pretty good. The team was good in my opinion. I think with another year of this core and Denny Avdia getting another year under his feet and his belt, and maybe he'll be better. And Scoot could be better too after a year. And maybe. And I've seen how much the Drew mentorship has done for him. I think that Dame being back and actually playing and healthy might actually help Scoot a lot in his development. Scoot is the exact same draft class as Wemby, and I'm not saying, and Wemby and Brandon Miller, and I think that had Brandon Miller and Scoot are comparable. They're like, if you want to talk about where they were and how they played in the postseason, which again, Scoot has a higher sample size, but again, we saw Brandon Miller play. I think Brandon Miller could have been better in the 2 play-in games that I saw from him. One of them, he actually was really good and saved his team. He saved his team's ass. They really had no chance of beating Miami without the game that he had. But ironically enough, in his matchup against the Orlando Magic, where they showed why they were actually supposed to be and expected to win 50 games this season. I just don't know. I don't know how people can be. I think Scoot's been pretty good actually for the postseason. There was a game where he went scoreless, obviously. That was the previous game, and in Game 5 he wasn't that good. But the Scoot games that we saw where he had 23 points and 33 points are a reassuring sign, because again, this is his first time being in the postseason. And I know people are gonna say the San Antonio Spurs this is also their first time being in the postseason. Be so fucking for real with me right now. Did you expect the Trailblazers to beat the Spurs before the series started? Did you expect them to actually get a game? I did. I expected them to get a game. Did you? Probably not. Let's be honest. I feel like a lot of people looked over at the schedule and as the schedule finalized and they were all looking over. They were thinking, just sweep. They can't fuck with the Spurs. No way. It's not going to be close in any of the games. It's going to be a sweep. That's what happened. By the way, the Spurs continue to look as polished as they do. I think the veteran leadership from Harrison Barnes has been completely under talked about. Kelly Olynyk is also probably not Kelly Olynyk, I think Mason Plumlee. Both of those guys are giving them those are good vets to have on the team. I don't know what to tell you. I think they're great. Those are great guys. They're a very young team, and I'm very impressed with everything I've seen from Dylan Harper this season. I'm very impressed. I think Dylan Harper, if we're talking about strictly what he's done for me lately, that guy should be the Rookie of the Year. I know you're saying just, but Cooper hasn't had a chance to get in the postseason. I'm like, yeah, cool. I thought the award should have went to Con. I'm not mad that Cooper won it. I think Cooper winning it was the more predictable of the 2 outcomes, but I think the award should have gone to Con. And I saw what Con did for me. I saw what Con did in the postseason, and I've seen what Dylan Harper's doing in the postseason. I've also seen what VJ Hedgecombe is doing in the postseason. I think the Rookie of the Year race was the best it's ever been. Have you ever seen this many races being this close? Not just the postseason, by the way. The Coach of the Year race, incredibly close. The MVP race, incredibly close. I don't think anyone's ever had. We've never had 4 candidates even in the discussion by the tail end point of the season. Coach of the Year is obviously as close as it's ever been. I think most improved players have been very close. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was up there. Jeez, bro. I can't even remember some of the candidates in there. Doran was in that conversation. I know we're seeing what Doran's doing in the postseason, but Doran is still an all-star. Denny Avdia was in that conversation. I think Denny's also an all-star. I think all those other all-stars have underperformed. Hell, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker's underperformed. Jalen Johnson was in that discussion. There was a lot of guys in the Most Improved Player of the Year award. It was a good. I think this has been the best year of basketball that I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna lie. This has been the best year of basketball I've seen in my life. People have had begged for Perry in 2019. They begged for. We were tired of the Warriors. We were tired of the Cleveland Cavaliers. No, not me. I was happy with the Cleveland Cavaliers, bro. But I could understand why people were exhausted with them. The East was ass. The East finally showed some signs of life when LeBron finally left the conference. We were thinking for a long time that the East has no chance of fucking with the West. They don't, right? And we saw 260 teams come out of the West last year. We saw 260 win teams come out of the West this year. Did anyone see that did anyone think the Detroit Pistons and San Antonio Spurs were going to win 60 games this year? No. No, we didn't think that. Going into the year, no, we didn't think. I thought the Detroit Pistons could be one of the best teams in the East. I thought the Spurs could be one of the best teams in the West. I thought the hierarchy for both of those teams is they're going to be second or third. I said they're going to be second or third with those teams. And I'm yapping, and I know people are gonna probably be like, this video is less focused than any of the other videos you have. You're not really talking about the games and stuff. I really struggle to even have like a thing to talk about for the last 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, whatever it's been since I last uploaded because of that reason. Yeah, it's been great though. I've been loving the playoffs. Obviously, I've been tired of like talking about some of these games because I feel like some of them just don't need to be talked about. The Cavs are going to play the Raptors today. That's going to be a very pivotal Game 5. Look out for that. Let's talk about the Celtics really quickly. The Celtics and what I saw from them in a potential elimination game of the Sixers. And by the way, Embiid has played great in both of the games where he's been back. Obviously, Boston won the previous one, and then the last one that we just watched, the Sixers won. That's 3-2. I don't think a lot of people were expecting the Sixers to be this good. I don't think Embiid was expected to look as good as he did coming off of the appendix injury. Especially considering, again, when he's injured, he's not a great postseason player. And again, I know people are going to tell you, when has he ever been healthy in the postseason? Never. But when he's injured, he's strictly not a good postseason player. This is the second best I've ever seen him look in the postseason, though. He looks great. I'm not sure if this is excellence that can be maintained. I don't know if the Sixers can come back from being down this much in the series, but I think they could do something. I think this has been they've been great. I still don't expect Boston to lose, but I think the play-in teams of this year have shown to me that they've been the best that they've been in a while. I think the only other time that they've been this good was in 2023, and I know people are going to say to themselves, do you really think that a play-in team making the conference finals and one making the finals and who was it? Because I think it was a couple of play-in teams. It wasn't just the Lakers and the Suns, the Lakers and the Heat. But the Lakers and the Heat had already previously met in the finals. I think that the fact that they showed that with a full year under their belt, healthier, that they could be there is not a surprise with the cores that they had that went to the finals. Especially if it's a covered rest. I'm sorry, I just woke up. And you're probably wondering yourself, what time is it? Don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about that. By the way, there was nothing to talk about with Phoenix. I was expecting a Jalen Duren game, and not a Jalen Duren, a Jalen Green game. By the way, all of the Jalens have been really weird in the playoffs. Jalen Johnson has not lived up to expectations. Jalen Duren has not lived up to expectations. Jalen Williams of the Thunder, the more important one of the two, is injured. The other Jalen Williams has been fine. He's a role player. I don't really have expectations for him nearly as much as the other guys. And he also was the third big in their lineup in rotation. He exceeded expectations in the regular season, but now that it's the postseason, and not saying that he's underperforming, but like they don't have. He's not getting minutes like that. There's no reason to have expectations for him. He's not getting things that would lead for you to build up expectations. I don't think the Cavs have a Jalen. But yeah, no, Jalen's have... Oh, Tyson. Jalen Tyson started the series off pretty hard and rough. Yeah, all the Jalens have been playoff droppers, I want to say, in comparison to what I've seen from them in the regular season, or they've just been injured. So there's that. Pivotal game from the Cavs, I think, today. I'm not mistaken. I think, yeah, they're back in Cleveland, so it's not a real series until the home team loses. But the Toronto Raptors have all of the momentum. They came out of Game 3 shooting at the end of Game 3 they shot the fucking lights out, and then in a Game of 4, the Cleveland Cavaliers offense was unable to get anything going. I think a lot of that has to do with the problems that we have with James Harden, and I think those were pretty obvious. I don't think that Harden will be as bad as he was in Game 4 because the offensive fouls were just disgusting. I think he'll get some of those calls. I think he'll get some of those calls at home, to be quite honest. I don't know if he'll get them in Toronto, especially not. But yeah, I hope he is better. Donovan Mitchell, I was going to grill you. But you showed up in the fourth quarter. And I'm willing to let that slide. I will let that go. I'm not even sure who the other games are today. So let me look at that really quickly. Oh, that's tough. It's the last game of the Rockets one. The game that I'm going to be watching and looking forward to the most is not going to be taking place at 10 p.m. I think Austin Reeves could make a return here, and I think he should show up. And the Lakers should close the series out in LA. This obviously sets them up on a collision course to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's going to be tough for them. I don't expect them to win that series, but to be honest, I thought this team was always a second round exit when they had to face San Antonio Spurs. If they had to face the East. Whatever team was going to finish in the first seed, I think that they were going to have a problem facing them regardless. Hell, I'm surprised that this team is even where they are right now, up 3-1 against the Rockets. I know that a lot of that has to do with Kevin Durant being injured to a lot of us out of nowhere, but still, I just didn't think that a team that was relying this much on LeBron James at age 41 would be able to make it this far. I didn't think a team that had to rely on Luke Kennard and Marcus Smart would make it this far. I didn't think a team that had to rely on Rui Hachimura this much would make it this far, especially when their game plan and schedule and how they want to operate when they're fully healthy is Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Dog. I didn't think they would make it this far. So there's that. The Detroit Pistons. Hey, y'all are in. This is game 5. Y'all are in Detroit. Show me something. And here's a couple of things that I think they could do that could realistically put them give them the edge in this series. I don't know why JB Bickerstaff hasn't tried it yet. Please run double bigs. It'll clog up the paint even more, and they'll have to rely on perimeter shot making even more. And I know it's going to be exhausting for these two players, but you got to do something. You got to try something, dog. Try double bigs. I don't know if you can hear me. You probably can't. You'll probably never even see this video. If JB Bickerstaff is the only guy watching this video, hey, congratulations. I love you. Thank you for being a coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. Thanks. And I love your work in Detroit. Do something. Show me something special. Yeah. Try double bigs. I think Duncan Robinson can't touch the floor. I think Kevin Huerter is probably the more optimal guy in the situation. He showed me that he can't be bullied nearly as badly. I think LeVert's going to need to play more minutes for you tonight. I think Jenkins has tried to do things, but it's been weird. By the way, let me talk to Kenny Atkinson really quickly if he can hear me. Why did you take out Dennis Schroeder when he was cooking? I think, honestly, when you were closing the game and you needed offense, you should have just let Dennis Schroeder be out there instead of Harden. And I know, but Harden was having a bad game. I know Harden's the all-star. I know Harden's the guy that you're willing to give an extension and a contract to. Harden fucked up everything last night. It was bad. Not last night. It's Sunday, Saturday, whatever day it was. Sunday. He was bad. He was bad, bro. The turnovers were bad. The offensive fouls were bad. The passing that led to turnovers were bad. The shot making wasn't there. Anyone. I think that Dennis Schroeder should have been given more opportunity to close out the game. I think that Tyson also should have been given an opportunity to close out the game. He was actually very productive and pretty good last game. I know that you don't really want to give those guys the opportunities in those situations, but I will never understand this. I get it. You don't want to offend your major stars and players. Yo, if they're not in a rhythm tonight, bro, and it's the postseason, hey, dog, don't play them. It's that simple. And with Donovan Mitchell, he was having a bad game, but he eventually turned it around, dog. Harden's turnovers were just detrimental the entire way through, man. That can't happen. Evan Mobley, by the way, I think he didn't get enough flack for how bad Leo was. How bad he played, to be quite honest. But I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Jared Allen or Evan Mobley should be getting blamed for how badly those games went, because again, they couldn't find the bigs. They could not find the bigs. The defense that the Toronto Raptors were playing, they could not get the ball to the bigs. So tonight in Cleveland, You guys need to do two things. You need to be able to find the bigs to get the ball to them and have them be good in the paint, effective in the paint. You need the perimeter shooting to be much better than it was in the previous 2 games. And I think Mitchell needs to get to the line more. If his shot is not falling, he needs to try and draw contact and get to the line. I don't know, he tried to draw contact at the very tail end of the game. That they weren't going to give you that call. And the way that game was being officiated and the way that game was being played, they were not going to give you that call. You know that. I knew that. When I saw you go up for the jump shot, I think everyone in the world knew that you were not going to get that call no matter what. Even though there was some contact, I don't think anyone was going to give you that call. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to title this. Maybe the angry feelings, the angry, not the angry, the tears of a Cleveland Cavalier fan or whatever. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I just figure something out, guys. Boston need to close out. You need to close out Philly. It's not gonna happen today, obviously, but you need to close out Philly. Cavs, you need to win this game in here. Detroit, you need to show me that you can actually win this game in Detroit. You need to win the game in Detroit. It has to happen. Otherwise, you're done. Like literally, it's over. And you've never had your back to the wall this bad. And you responded to losses pretty well in the previous series, and just previously, like not previous series, you've responded to losses better in the regular season. I know it's tough. It's going to be hard, but you need to figure something out. And for the Rockets, dog, why did you guys try to win game? Why did you guys try to win game 4? Niggas should have just went home. Should have just went home. Yeah, y'all don't have any incentive to hoop, bro. No KD. Y'all not be, even if y'all make it past, even if y'all hypothetically made it past the Lakers, I got news for you niggas. The longer y'all drag out the series, the more healthy a Luka and Austin Reeves are gonna be, and you're just gonna make it easier for them to face the Thunder. I don't even think they'll win against the Thunder, but you're just wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You need to go into the offseason and think about finding our new head coach because Ime Udoka is getting fired. We all know this. You need to think about that now. I don't even know what to say. Good luck though. Good luck, guys. Bye. Like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. I forgot to do that. Now, bye.